Hey guys, and welcome back to Flight Simulator 2020. I'm Avengel, and this is Carenado's Mooney M20 Ovation. This thing is an absolute beauty of an aircraft, and we'll go quickly inside to take a look around the cockpit. Of course, you see all the ground service equipment, which is a new thing that's been brought through with Carenado in the 2020 series, including the iPad control system, which I absolutely love. This has also been retrofitted to the Cessna 182 Turbo as well, so you can now control things like static elements, external power, the tow bar, pilot and co-pilot visibility, doors, and start conditions. So cold, dark, ready for taxi, ready for takeoff. Absolutely fantastic system, and as usual, the interior texture quality for the Carenado aircraft is fantastic. Everything is beautiful. All of your usual expected controls work, like the doors, things we've missed really with the default aircraft. Even non-functioning controls do work. Apart from those. Of course, we can flip around our visors as much as we like. Our lighting controls are all functional. Let's get our thing. Let's get the Mooney started up for a little flight today. Take a look around Orcas Island here in Washington State, one of Orbex's beautiful gems. Flaps are sagged currently, so we'll go for battery on. I can't quite see that, so we're going to have to zoom in here. Oh, hello. So there's our boost pump. Let's get our lights on. So I think they're actually all on here from when I previously flew. Very loud here for the Mooney. Engine on. Avionics and alternator. There is a problem if you start cold dark where this entire stack of radios will not function. Not sure why. They're most likely working on it. It's a glitch that sometimes happens to people and sometimes doesn't. I started here cold and dark and it worked. So it's a hit or miss issue, but it's a glitch. It's early in the era of flight sim here, so it's something to be expected. Even the little weather window opens. And the lovely step up sound there as you open the window. Sadly, clicking on the radio mic doesn't open the ATC window like it used to in Carenado aircraft, which is sad, because that would be useful rather than having to go up here and click all sorts of shenanigans. Okay, so let's get our boost pump off because that is annoying as heck. Our flaps are already set at 15 for takeoff, so we are going to go for a short little flight and check out the Mooney's behaviour. So, where's our runway access point here at Orcas? We'll have to taxi back a little bit. A little quieter than the 182 Turbo, so if you had thought that thing was annoyingly loud, this one is not. Orcas, of course, just as beautiful as it was in FSX and P3D. Same developers, of course, or no, different developer, actually, creator to Darrington, but the same publisher, Orbex, so the same quality standard as expected. And lots of parking spots if you want them, including several open hangars you can taxi into. So this is, of course, going to be runway 34, so Orcas traffic, November 403 Sierra X-ray, holding short 34, departure to the north, entering runway. We know we've got no traffic today, so we are good to go. It's nice to have another low visibility, or high visibility, low nose aircraft here, like the Mooney. Whilst we have got a couple like this, like the A36. It is nice to get something a little different, especially the first true steam gauge aircraft for 2020 that's an add-on. Something I really want to bring up because the kit Fox, which is by Big Tire Simulations, which is not fantastic. It's certainly not. Well, it's good, but it's not ready for release. Gear up. Let's pull those flaps up. I will note that the Mooney and Carenado's aircraft behave a lot more realistically on trim than the default aircraft do. That is something I have noticed. Right, let's bring ourselves back to climb power. Looking smooth and sexy. But it is nice to finally have an add-on aircraft that is steam gauge. It's its first full payware add-on aircraft, I'd say, because all the previous ones, including the 182T, had the stock G1000. And you will notice slightly better performance with the steam gauges. There is some picture-in-picture issues with refresh rates on the glass in the sim. Especially the synth vision in the the sim because it's essentially picture-in-picture rather than displaying information. It's not a gauge per se, but a screen. So we're just circling around here from Orbex. This is Orcas Island. I was going to call it Orbex Island, but it's Orcas. And the Mooney handles beautifully, I will give it that much. In terms of a flight model, never flown a Mooney IRL, but it is a very smooth and gentle flight. I'm not giving it much control input, but this thing wants to leap into the sky. It wants to stay up there, and it will cruise at about 178 knots, which is a fantastic speed. It's a very clean aircraft in terms of its flight operations. You've got the default G530 down there, usual Ben King radio stack and autopilot, and we do still have a couple of the same little, should we call them glaring derps from Flight Sim. We'll just drop our nose back down. So we're not quite centered on the heading there, so we'll go, oh look, let's turn the autopilot on. Let's put altitude hold on. It starts to get a little hairy. Heading hold on. It's capturing well this time compared to previously. So it's one of the simpler autopilots, being a Ben King unit. None of the crazy complexity. So we should be able to arm for 3,000 feet. And this should be taking us up. It's climbing at quite the rate here, apparently. Just under 2,000 feet a minute. That's pretty crazy. Okay, we'll mess with the autopilot later. That's not what you guys are interested in. Autopilot's off. We're going to turn around and come back for 1.6. But the plane is very gentle. That's the one thing I will note from this. It wants to fly. It wants to cruise. It's a pleasure to handle. Performance is great. Visuals are fantastic. And the aircraft overall really does feel like an add-on aircraft. It feels more complete. Everything just feels a little bit more nice. Of course, the scenery helps, but I am glad to have a steam gauge aircraft. I'm not against glass cockpits, but I'm against their performance in the sims. They do tend to suck quite a lot in terms of sim performance, and the accuracy isn't that great. My one concern is that a lot of the default aircraft will never be perfect, because whereas in other sims you could... Oh god, shut up. There we go, quiet. In other sims you could of course swap out the gauge parts of the instrument systems and have them work. We're going to have to wait for payware aircraft to do proper full glass cockpit simulations in 2020 because... Oh, hello, massive glaring stutter there. Unless we have that, everything's modeled in here, so you can't add 2D pop-ups, you can't add replacements to gauge instruments, even 3D bezeled gauges, which are still technically coded gauges in the back end. We can't swap those out, so that's a bit of a problem. So I'm going to just tell that to shut up for a second. Okay, be quiet. Does it want to be quiet? Okay, we'll just bring it back up to flight idle. I'm going to try and lose some speed. The Mooney is very slippery. That is one definite, I guess you could say positive or feature, being a very slick and fast aircraft. This thing does not want to slow down. Especially not here. So our airport's just over there, Orcas Island. We're going to try and drop some altitude here, descend a little bit slower, and watch some of that speed drop off. Visibility for landing and takeoff is phenomenal. The aircraft really has a great position. Of course, your camera viewpoints are great. You've got a nice high up landing camera. Another glare shield camera, which is slightly lower than that one. Good instrument panel view if you're flying IFR or other features. And is very good. Okay, so there's our runway. We need to head over this final part of the island. And we'll be able to roll to the left, finalize our base turn, and enter the runway. Trim is a little nicer, like I said. It seems to roll a lot better on the add-on aircraft. That's something I've noticed, at least with the Carenado aircraft. The trim sensitivity in the sim seems a lot better. I did notice also the sim has tweaked its ground handling versus rudder sensitivity settings in the last patch, which was a huge one. And whilst it seemed to increase performance for low-end machines, it did not increase performance for high-end machines that are struggling. So that's a weird one. But the ground handling is a lot better now. Steering is a lot more smooth, even though you may have lower sensitivity to stop the rudder feeling like you're basically attached to a massive barn door. And there's the runway. Keep that speed down. We're a little high up. Okay, shush. Gonna drop the gear now, which lets us throttle back a little bit. This plane honestly flies itself. I'm just giving it the slightest tickle of input here. And it just wants to keep on turning. It likes to fly its course. It handles gorgeously. Even if this isn't realistic for a Mooney M20 Ovation. I keep wanting to call it a Juliet. It's not. Even if this isn't realistic for a Mooney, this is wonderful to fly. This is honestly a dream. It just sails. And that's probably the best word I can use. It sails. It wants to fly. It wants to take off. It wants to just go where you want to point it. It's a very, very, very well-behaved aircraft. Nicely lined up here. And we're a little high. Keep ourselves descending here. We are coming a little quick, but we should still make the threshold. Little quick. 97 knots an approach in a Mooney. That is a little spicy. Confirm gear is down. Got the little blinker there on the bottom. Okay, so this is actually a fairly sound approach. A little high. Fly it down onto the runway. Beautiful touchdown there. A little bit of brakes, and the aircraft rolls to a stop. It just flew onto the runway. That's the only way I can describe that. It flew onto the runway, and it just handles like you want it to. I know a lot of Mooney pilots will rave about their aircraft and how good they are, but okay, come on, my feet are off the brakes. Why aren't you moving? Come on, that's it. Okay, somehow, I don't know how, but the parking brake became attached, even though I had never touched it. Go figure. That's a weirdness of the sim. Sometimes that sort of quirk happens. Let's pull ourselves off the taxiway. Orcas Island traffic November 403 Sierra X-ray is clearly active. Taxiing to parking. Speaking of Orcas Island, we'll just take a little doopsie-doodle around here on the taxiway. Look at that ground handling. Oh, yes. That is nice. Alright, let's taxi it down here where we're going to just pull in at the next turning. And you see that hangar over there behind the fire truck? Yep, that is an open hangar where we're going to park up for the night. Slow it down a little bit. Bunch of beautiful service vehicles around here as... Oh, there we go. Excuse me, fuel people. Okie dokie. There we go. And let's put the Mooney to bed. This is something I love about 2020 and the Orbex airports, is that the attention to detail is phenomenal. Now, granted, you would not taxi into the hangar in real life, but meh, this is the sim. I can do what I like. Oh god, I hate it when it does that. Stop it. There we go. And, as we're stuck with the camera viewpoint of a hangar, whoop, da -ba -da -ba -da. Perfect parking. I love that. The Mooney Ovation is wonderful. Get it if you like to fly GA aircraft. It is a wonderful cruiser, something I may take on a Trans-Canada flight or a hop around the Caribbean. But it is an absolutely beautiful little plane and well worth your purchasing. Thanks for watching, guys. Bye.